Hi, what new possibilities will you create? Today's guests will share their story and provide insight. From my network to yours, let's get to it.
You have to work in that environment, but build your community.
You find your own path, to your point, to say what makes sense for me in the current reality I'm living, and what possibilities I'm creating today, and what steps I need to take today now to get there.
You don't know where your blessing is going to come from. Follow your joy and your passion and be creatively curious about all kinds of things that may or may not have anything to do with what you're actually.
Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Hey!
Hey!
What's going on? What's going on?
Who am I? That's the existential question, right?
Yes.
So
Intentional.
I am a mother, a friend, a sister. I know my sister's online. I'm happy to see her here. A daughter. I am an international educator, the director of education abroad programs, where I've been working at Drexel for 16 years in international.
Oh, 16 years. How old are you? You look like you're 18.
I started there in like a kindergarten internship.
Okay. I believe that way. Okay.
So,
all right. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
We're not gonna count. So that's like my day life is, or I say like by day, I'm an international educator. I summarize the work that I do there is like I make the world a smaller place. I connect people, students, faculty, to other parts of the world through education, through experiential learning. And so, you know, crossing bridges culturally, linguistically, academically, socially. So that's like my day job, who I am during the day. And then I'm also a humanitarian, come to find out. I'm a humanitarian, which if I had been thinking this like 8 years ago when I started getting involved with Haiti, I would not have, kind of claimed that. But I'm the founder and director of a grassroots nonprofit organization, We the Village, that has been supporting Love Orphanage in Haiti for, it's going on 9 years. I'm also, shout out to my culture camp crew.
Yes.
Who come to Haiti with me, and maybe some of y'all tuning in will be part of the crew in the future, I hope. I also am the founder of the Drexel Meditation Group, which I've been running for 8 years. And I'm the president of Heart to Heart, which is a restorative, the board of directors, president of the board of directors for Heart to Heart, which is a restorative justice organization based here in South Jersey.
Wow.
That does restorative work in the prison systems here. So,
wow.
And I'm a partner. Yeah.
How'd you get involved in Love Orphanage?
Honestly, I got involved without really realizing I was going to get involved. I went to Haiti in 2011, and that was something that had interested me in a long time. And to be honest with you, unlike, Haiti has the perception of, poverty and a lot of challenges. And so there are a lot of mission and volunteer groups that go to Haiti. My interest in going to Haiti had nothing to do with that. I actually just really wanted to experience Haiti. I had studied about Haiti in college and was fascinated by the first Black Republic and the history of Haiti. And I wanted to just go and experience it. And so I had this kind of heart calling to go there for a very, very long time. Opportunity presented itself. I went down having no idea what was going to happen when I got there, what I was going to do, and met Gabriel Fedaluz. And in about a 3-minute conversation, he mentioned to me that he had just started an orphanage. Just started an orphanage in the aftermath of the earthquake, trying to support children who had been orphaned as a result of the earthquake. And something, I can't tell you what he said in those 3 minutes because it wasn't much, but it hit me to the core, my being, and I couldn't let it go. I had never fundraised before. I had never really done service or volunteer work. I had no experience whatsoever in any of that. And so I had no idea what I would actually be able to do to help, but we exchanged information, and I said, I don't know if I can help, but maybe there's something I can do. And got home and couldn't stop thinking about it. Couldn't stop thinking about it. And so through a few communications, I arranged to go back down to visit Loveo a few months later. Again, really not even knowing what I was walking into, had never been there before, hadn't spent any time with the kids. And that's when my world was really blown wide open. And in that moment, that return trip, when I got a feeling for the little bit of money that I had fundraised, which by the way, I was terrified of fundraising when I first started, the little bit of supplies I had collected, one little suitcase, you know, a couple $1,000 went down, really felt like, I don't know what this is gonna do, but I saw the immediate impact. And it wasn't even, I hadn't done very much. And I thought, this is where my heart is. Like, if I see how my efforts, which again, were not that extensive, could make such a direct and immediate impact, I still have no idea what I'm doing. I still have no idea what I'm gonna be able to do to help, but I'm gonna just keep on doing the next thing. And those next things have led to where we are now, which you know, and a lot of folks that are joining us have been deeply, deeply involved in the village for Love Orphanage, and really just transforming and uplifting their lives over the past 8 years, which I promised myself I'm not going to cry tonight on Instagram.
We're gonna cry. We're gonna cry.
So that's it. That's the story in a nutshell of how I got involved. It was I had no vision. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how I was going to help. And I did know that I was struck to the core, and that I wanted to listen and act in some way. And that those ripple effects, that the domino effects, and the people, the blessings, the people that have joined our village, it's so far beyond me. I mean, it took on a life of its own, and the vision took hold of me really, you know, early on. So yeah, that's the story in a nutshell.
You were able to connect what you saw open up for you in Haiti and Love Orphanage to also pull Drexel in.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit. Talk about that.
So that has been such a joy and such a blessing. Yes. So in 2012, that connection first began, and I have to credit, I don't know if she's on here, but I have to credit Harriet Milan, who is my co-conspirator in the first study abroad course that we created in Haiti and Love Orphanage. She was the one that really supported me in bringing Drexel into the Love Orphanage family from a distance. So she and I teamed up to create a course to take our students to Haiti and to experience the richness and be inspired and uplifted and educated through the arts and culture in Haiti. And I was very hesitant to bring Drexel into the fold because I felt like, all right, that's my day job. That's, you know, like maybe there's some conflict.
That's why I asked that question. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I tell you, the village, she was so supportive, so almost insistent that we had to include Love Orphanage. We couldn't take Drexel students to Haiti and not include the work that I was doing at Love Orphanage. So since then, Love Orphanage has been a very important part, a beautiful part of every state. I've taken over 100 students, probably 150 students to Haiti at this point over the years. And there's always time with Love Orphanage. And the students have fundraised. And one of the students who's now an alumni, I don't know if she's on here, she's on my board of directors now. She came to Haiti with me years ago, is now on the board of directors as an alumni. So
nice.
Yeah.
But I want people to hear that because it's key. It's so funny how we're our own blockers, right? We make an assumption we gotta separate work from our passion.
Yes.
It's crazy when you say it out loud. It sounds weird, but we do it. We think work is, I go there, I have to go work. And I come home to my passion. I go home, I gotta live, I'm happy. I think right now people are seeing the two are the same. I'm at home.
Exactly.
And I'm talking to you. And I was here 5 minutes ago, home, working, right?
Exactly.
And so we're forced to actually really see that life is everything. Life is work, life is home. and you gotta do your passion. And I think to your comment you made earlier is that she saw that light around you, your passion around Haiti, and she said, of course it makes sense because it's you. You embody that. You bring it to the table and you bring your full self to Taylor Drexel. They gotta support that. I mean, it's huge. I think folks need to hear
I'm
that.
so glad that you mentioned that, because the biggest lesson for me in that has been that by not extending the fullness of who we are into our various spaces, we're not only doing ourselves a disservice, we're doing those spaces a disservice. So Drexel students have benefited. Drexel as a university extending its footprint to support an orphanage in Haiti has benefited. The children have benefited. And so if we draw these boundaries between the things that we hold so dear and compartmentalize, it's not just about us. We, through service, especially we're talking about service tonight, it's extending breaking down those barriers within our own lives and finding ways that the fullness of who we are can show up wherever we are. And I mean, that's a living testament to that. And the meditation group is another example. I was, interested in my own meditation practice and like kind of struggling with being consistent about it. This was back in 2012. I went to this like meditation kind of one-off thing that they had at Drexel, and I saw all these people there. And I was like, there was nothing meditation related at Drexel at the time.
Really?
Like,
wow.
Yeah, no. I was like, wait, I'm not the only one that's interested in this at work? And I left that event. I said, I need to start a group, because clearly there's people at work that are interested in this. And so I went to human resources and said, I want to start a meditation group at work. And so every Thursday, like clockwork, for 8 years, I've led a meditation group at work, which was something that I would have never thought to be the kind of, take that initiative or step outside that comfort zone of like bringing this thing, personal, spiritual thing for me into my workspace. I would have never thought about that. And I realized the service that it's done. Hundreds and hundreds of people have come over the years to our meditation Thursday sessions, our workshops, etc. So we need to stop compartmentalizing, whether it's our passions, our areas of service, our social justice. That's part of what's gotten us to the state of what's going on right now, right? Is that we have these categories and these boxes, and we are sometimes hesitant to step beyond those boxes and share with the world who we are. Not just from 9 to 5, 24/7.
And I said every day is a new start and new possibility, new thing you create, and you see a void, and you realize if you see the void, that means you see the void. You need to respond, right? And
absolutely. I think, with Love Orphanage, with the meditation group, and even with Heart to Heart, the restorative justice organization that I started off as a volunteer and then moved on to their board of directors and now the president of the board of directors. Those are my three currently, my villages. These are the places where I am intentional. I'm directing my energy. I am pouring seed and water and love into those three areas. But those three things actually came to me because I was listening. I was listening. I had these desires and things, but it wasn't just simply the desire or like, oh, I care about this. But you have to sometimes pay attention to what life is inviting you to and to what's showing up in life. And that is how those three things came about. I think right now with what's going on, the words that keep coming to me is like devastatingly beautiful. Like what's going on in our world, in our country right now, it's utterly devastating for all of us. I mean, most of us, at least those who are really watching and paying attention. It's horrible. It's horrific. It's heartbreaking. It's, you could go on and on with the adjectives. Correct. It's also beautiful because I think it is waking people up to want to get involved and want to serve and want to show up.
Correct.
And then the question is, after the protests stop, after all of this dies down, what next? Yes. What next? And so I think it is the perfect time to have this conversation about what next, and service and showing up and pouring planting seeds and watering those spaces that we care about so deeply, and not all of those spaces, right? Because there's a lot of things that I care about. I mean, there's so many causes that I'm like, oh, my heart, I care about them so much. But as a wise friend once said to me, it's like, we can do anything, we just can't do everything. So we can care deeply about so many causes, so many of the challenges in our world. We cannot do everything. So we have to listen within from our heart space, and pay attention to what life is bringing to us, and really listen to where the things that we care about. What causes do we care about enough to be part of that village?
I think folks, they'll see things, or they have this expectation that someone else sees this too. And that is, well, where's the leader at here that can drive this? Or I'll follow your cause. Where's the cause I can follow? Not realizing you are the one that needs to drive that cause. So how do you get to start?
So I think, again, the listening is really important to see, like, what's showing up, what are you being drawn to, and of all the things you care about, really doing some reflection on which of those things you care about and you're called enough right now to actually pour energy and love into. And so I think that's an important piece of it, because otherwise it's like shiny object. Like, oh, I love this. So I'm gonna go to this event exactly. Yeah. And then, but I really love this. So you know what? I'm gonna go do this for a little while, and then I'm back over here. And I mean, yes, that's better than doing nothing. But there is such power that comes when we really, with consistency, give ourselves to a village. I use the word village, to a village, that we're consistent and we're serving in a meaningful way. And the starting part is just showing up where you are. I mean, I cannot tell you, over the past, going on 9 years since I got involved with Love Orphanage, how many times I almost talked myself out of having a nonprofit organization. I almost talked myself out of it so many times because I'm like, well, I don't know how are we going to do this? And it just was like, shut down. And I'm like, wait a second. I don't need to figure it all out. Let me work on what I can work on right now. And sometimes what I can work on right now might be small, and sometimes it might be large. Sometimes it might be asking somebody for help. Sometimes it might be stepping into the chief role, and sometimes, you're a supporter. So you're a follower and a leader. It depends on where you're starting and what you've decided to get involved with. But my favorite saying when it comes to, because I tell you, I talked myself off the cliff so many times, and thank goodness I did, because the trajectory and what has been possible, it would be so different. It's not what you know, it's what you do with what you know.
Say it again.
You could read 100 books.
Say it again.
It's not
Say it
what you
again.
know, it's what you do with what you know. And I think maybe this is Drexel, because Drexel is all about action. It's all about application and just do something, It's not what you know, it's what you do with what you know. And so if you know how to, show up and ask, where can I help? Do that. If you know there's an organization that's doing good work that you want to support and you have no idea what you can do to support, show up and ask, how can I be of service? It's not our job as individuals to solve the world's problems. It's our job to show up and play our part. Correct. It is not our job to solve, especially talking about institutional racism, it's not our job to solve a 400-year legacy of, oppression and violence. It's our job to do what we can do today, here, in our space. And sometimes that space is just our immediate neighborhood, our immediate circle, and beyond. But that can be very disempowering.
Yeah,
I felt it. I felt that. I have felt that space before.
Everybody, me too.
Everybody. It's natural.
It's natural. You
care about the world around you. You're like, if you have a pulse and you're looking around and kind of seeing what's going on in the world, it's natural to feel overwhelmed by the enormity of so many things. But I think when I think about issues like racism, issues like, you know, any of the world, you know, climate change, all these things, if you think about them as a wall and you look at the wall, the Great Wall of China, well, it's going to probably be impossible for one person to disassemble the Great Wall of China. I would rather think of it as like one big Jenga wall. Our job is to come along and push a few of those little blocks out, because we don't need to dismantle the entire thing. We only need to push enough blocks out where the system comes crashing down on its own.
The actual process to set up a 501(c)(3), is it hard? Is it difficult? Like, what's up? Let me get that question out there for people.
So, you know, this was one of those things when I was working with Love Orphanage, like the first 2 years, I had, you know, at that point raised a significant amount of money, or a sizable amount of money, I should say, and had gone down a few times, and I hadn't started the official 501(c)(3). And I didn't think I was going to. It wasn't even really on my radar. I'm like, I don't want to run a nonprofit. I just want to help. I don't want to run a nonprofit. Like, I'll just keep helping. I don't need to have a whole organization. And it was like, people kept poking me. Like, you know, you should probably have a nonprofit. You should think about it. You should think about it. And I said, well, but I'm just helping. I'm not like a nonprofit manager or anything like that. I have no experience in this. Like, what am I going to do? And again, listening. And it didn't take long for me to hear those voices and come to the realization that, you know what, I'm being called to do this. So I'm going to start a nonprofit, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm going to do it anyway. And in terms of logistics, I mean, the 501(c)(3) now is so simple. It's so simple to start a 501(c)(3) in terms of the paperwork. It's very simple. I think the more difficult thing is deciding where, and maybe some folks listening already have found that. They already have their village, their space where they want to serve, or their audience or their community. But if you don't, and you know that you want to enter the 501(c)(3) space, I mean, definitely identifying and really narrowing the focus. I think starting too aggressively, too broad is probably not the best way to go. It's good to build and have successes, and then build some more and have successes and build some more, rather than say, I'm going to start a nonprofit organization and it's going to do all these different things and we're going to here and there and there. Unless you have a lot of hands on deck and resources and capital to implement a grand plan from the start, my advice is to start where you stand and build a community, build your support base, and expand from there.
As a leader of anything, a class, a book club, an awareness group, if you're a new leader, where do you draw the line between humility and displaying confidence to inspire others? Ooh, that's a good one. It's a
practice. I think it's a constant checking within, because I will say that there's a lot of ego.
Yes.
Egos exist everywhere, and the ego can easily hijack any situation, including service, including something that's supposed to be altruistic and philanthropic, can be hijacked by our own egos, you know. And so I think the balance between humility and confidence is definitely an inner practice. And the humility comes in from asking for help, asking for others to get involved, and bringing people into what you see, your vision. Because the humility, I mean, for me has been that I don't, and I can't, and I shouldn't do it all alone. And so even though I might be the president and the founder of the organization, I mean, much of what we've accomplished is not just me. I might be the one kind of directing the organization, but my humility comes from the fact that I know that we wouldn't accomplish what we're able to do without the support and love and encouragement and money, donations from so many people. This world, there's normal happening. And we already felt that new normal because of the pandemic. And all of this opening, this kind of like huge catechism, this huge break that's happening in waking people up is calling us to really do some reflection on how can I be my fullest self, and where do I want to pour my love? Where do I want to serve? What are my villages or my village? What is my village going to be? Where am I going to give of myself fully? And giving can come in many forms, because, you know, we all have different things going on, and we all have different resources. We all have different commitments and responsibilities. And so giving in our fullness, it takes many forms, right? It can be time. It can be showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up. It might be making a substantial contribution to those organizations you care about. It might be both. I do encourage people to go beyond the financial support. Financial support is so important. So supporting organizations that we care about, because money is energy. Putting our monetary energy into things that we care about is very important. And it might be $5. I mean, there were
times that. That's a good one. Yep.
Yeah, because it's not about the $5. There are causes that I, you know, aside from those that I'm actively involved, you know, the meditation, the restorative justice, and Love. There are other causes that as I mentioned before, I can't participate actively in those right now, but I'm going to support monetarily. And in some of those cases, it's literally, I have a $5 monthly donation going to I want my energy connected to that. I want that thing on my mind. I'm not able to give up my time right now for that. I'm not able to give up my talents for that right now. But I want to be energetically connected to this because I care about it. And so I'm going to give them my $5 every month. And I support other organizations to varying degrees. Money is energy. And so we got to let the money flow. And again, it could be $1, it could be $5. It's wherever we're at. But I do encourage folks to get active besides monetary active, you know, participation. Is getting involved, getting in the trenches of something.
How do you find gratitude?
Oh, gratitude is so important. Gratitude is like my calibrator. I have a tradition in my home, in my bedroom, and I've been doing this for many years. January 1st of every year, I have large white banner paper, and I pull out this roll of banner paper. And actually, you might remember that banner paper from the culture camp in Haiti when we made these big.
Oh yeah.
I pull out my banner paper. I cut a huge sheet of this banner paper. I put it up on my wall in my bedroom, and at the top, I put "I am grateful." It's my gratitude wall. Forget about the gratitude journal, you know, the gratitude notebook, the posters, whatever. I got my gratitude wall, and I can't miss it. I mean, it's literally right next to my bed, and every night I write something on there, and if I'm feeling in a low space, just scanning that, and I can't help but scan it because it's literally, I wake up, it's staring right at me on the wall. It's a calibration. And at the end of the year, December 31st, I read every single thing. I fill up the whole thing. I read every single thing, and I just fill myself up with all the things I had to be grateful for from that year. I fold it up, I pack it up, and January 1st, I got a fresh banner on the wall. So that's one of my gratitude practices.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's huge.
Yeah, I've been doing this for years, and I saved them all, you know. So I love sometimes going back and look at the old ones. Oh my, and it just fills my heart up. I'm not always in my bedroom though, and sometimes, you know, it's natural. We're human. We're gonna have our ups and downs, and especially with things that like what's going on right now. Gratitude is sometimes just taking a breath. I mean, George Floyd can't take any more breaths. There are people who can't take any more breaths, and sometimes all I can do if I need to tap into that gratitude is take a few breaths and remember I'm alive having this experience that might suck right now, but I'm still alive to have it, and I'm breathing through it. That alone is a gift. That gift is life showing up as me. And just remembering that alone, it can be that calibration for me to not get so far off track that I would forget the blessings that this life has in every moment. I mean, yeah. And I encourage everybody take those moments, those pauses in between all the things that are going on right now, and just breathe. Breathe for George Floyd. Breathe for all the people whose breath has been taken from them by the hands of other people. And breathe into that gratitude, if nothing else. Yeah.
What does that mean for you when you hear be present?
So presence, well, there's a couple layers to presence, right? There's inner presence. There's being present just within our own bodies, feeling, connecting with our breath, connecting with our emotions, honoring what's going on inside of us. And if that's anger, if that's rage, then we honor that. We hold space for that. If that's gratitude and love, or maybe both, we can hold space for gratitude and anger at the same time. So presence is an inside job first and foremost. And a practice, a lifelong practice. Presence on the, in the world is starting where you stand and showing up in whatever way you can to support the things that are near and dear to your heart, to pour love into them. And sometimes, we may not think there's much we can do. Presence and showing up will teach you that there's a lot we can do. That our agency of just being human and showing up and having the heart to serve, oftentimes the answers of how and what and all the details will show up for us. So that to me is really about being present, listening and showing up. I'm glad that you touched on that, because service, and for any of those tuning in that are actively involved in service, it's easy. Yeah, it's easy to get burnt out, right? Like we got to take care of ourselves and self-care. And to your question earlier about presence, I think the pandemic, for those of us who have had, and I'll call it a luxury of just working from home or being at home versus, on the front lines, has, for most of us, given us some space to actually deepen into the presence of just, being. And so, I have deepened my sense of presence and my filling myself up, because we can't burn ourselves out. If we're giving and giving and giving and serving and serving and serving, our cup is going to be empty and we're going to burn out. And you see a lot of people, even especially in the social justice space, you see folks that burn out because they just can't. They're so impassioned and they're on the front lines and they don't take time to fill up their cup. And so we have to keep that balance of filling ourselves up and giving from the overflow, so that what we're giving from is this wellspring of care that we have taken for ourselves through whatever self-care means to us, to an individual, right? That can come in many forms, but stillness and silence is one form of my self-care. Of not having all the to-do list, having all the things that need to get done. And I was a culprit of like, I gotta cross off one more thing before I go to bed. I can't go to sleep until I cross off one more thing from this daggone to-do list. Or my day is not gonna be complete. Exactly. Right. So I love my to-do list, but I realized that strategy is not sustainable, and I felt overwhelmed. I felt like I was not taking care of myself. The self-care is so important. And so I give myself permission. I don't have to get it all done. I can never get it all done in a day. We could have 100 hours in a day, right? We only got 24. We could have 100 hours a day and we would still find ways to not have enough time in the day to get everything done. So giving ourselves permission to not feel like we have to do it all the time, and taking time out to fill up our inner cup is absolutely essential. Meditation for me is a huge part of that. Yoga has become a huge part of that over the past year and a half or so. Treating my body with healthy foods, nurturing my body with healthy foods is a part of that. Stillness, giving myself time to do nothing is a part of that. And letting myself off the hook when I am not able to get it all done. And recalibrating my own expectations for what I am capable of.
You mentioned fear of fundraising initially in your career. Can you tell us more and explain how you got over it? Yes. And how you got over it, that fear.
Yes.
That's a real one.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I was so afraid of asking people for money. I was terrified. I didn't know how to ask. I felt weird asking people for money. I was embarrassed asking people for money. And part of it was like, well, why would someone believe in this just because I believe in this? Why would someone trust my vision enough? And this is in the early on where I didn't really have a vision. I just felt like I want to help. I want to do something. So if there was no nonprofit, there was no infrastructure, there was nothing. It was just me, one individual trying to fundraise, that first year. And I was terrified. And now I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm not blowing smoke. I'm not like, BSing y'all. I absolutely love fundraising now and have for a very long time. Is that I realized that, again, when I was mentioning earlier, when we hold back because we have our own hesitation, our own resistance, our own doubt, we're denying other people the blessing from being involved.
Yes. Yes.
So I realized.
That's so true.
Yes. I realized early on that, wait a second. So by fundraising, by asking people to join in this, I'm enabling them the joy of supporting and getting involved in something and being a part of it. Like, and the blessing of giving. Giving is actually a blessing for us. So when we give, we receive the joy, we receive the connection to that cause. We receive the connection to the community of people who are supporting that cause. We receive so much in the act of giving. I mean, imagine how good it feels. And y'all have probably all had this feeling where you have like the perfect birthday present or the perfect Christmas present, and you just can't wait to give it to that friend, that family member, because you get so much joy, right? But it feels so good to give someone a gift. And so by me being all stuck up in my embarrassment, fear, not knowing what to do, I was denying other people the opportunity to be part of this circulation of energy, of joy in a monetary form, because money is energy. And so when people give, they're giving of their energy and they get to participate in that. And I have seen the blessing of people loving to give and feeling great about giving and supporting and getting excited. And so it's so much fun now. It's like inviting somebody to a party. Like, come be part of this. This is fun.
Like you might be here. You might be here. Like, it's a t-shirt too. It was a t-shirt, Ahaji. You sold me the t-shirt.
Right. You get the t-shirt. You get the bumper sticker. You get it all, right? It's inviting someone to come and be a part of your party, your cause. And it's now, I mean, like I said, for many years, as soon as I got a taste of the blessing that is to be the vehicle for other people's generosity, for other people's giving hearts, for other people's love, for me to get to be the conduit for that, to like, I get to enable you to make an impact and I get to be the conduit for that. It's like amazing.
How do you go back to people for asking for money again?
It depends on who we're talking, right? If we're talking, there are donors who people give for different reasons, right? So someone might give a one-time gift because they heard about this cause from a friend of a friend of a friend, and they may not be super emotionally connected to this, but they want to support, they want to throw some love, so they'll give a one-time gift, and you may never connect with that person again. They may never give again. So there's folks that fall into that category. If you're talking about like immediate contacts, your circle of people who you know personally, my experience has been if someone supports, it's because they care about this. And chances are they're going to want to support it again. And asking is reminding them, because folks are busy and people forget. I mean, people will say, oh, yeah. Remind me, or I want to support. Okay, I'm going to text you and remind you to make the donation, because people are busy and people get caught up. So most of the time, unless it's someone who's actively involved and really is part of the village and like an active contributor to the work that's being done, everybody else got a million other things going on and they may have other causes and they forget. So it's our job to be the friendly reminder of like, hey, remember this is something you care about and you probably want to give again, and you probably forgot. And so I'm going to remind you that this is something that you care about and that you probably want to give again. I get asked, right? So I'll get asked to donate to different things. I'm like the easiest person to ask.
Correct.
Right?
You said it for me.
Oh, yeah. Sure. I'll donate to that. a lot, but I'll donate. Like most people, if you ask them, assuming they have the means, the answer is usually yes. Something, you know, or like maybe not right now, but keep me. And I've had folks, I'll tell you, like social media and stuff, I've had folks that I haven't talked to, I barely know, from literally over 10 years ago, and they just happen to keep up to date with what's going on through social media. And this, I've had people give so generously out of the blue. And so you never know when people are watching and what people are paying attention to, but those folks that are like in an immediate, I'll just remind them and straight up say, would you like to give again? This is what we're doing. This is how we're supporting. Would you like to give again? This is what your donation did. Would you like to give again? And do what we're doing, you know, and build on that. And most of the time, people, if they can, they want to. Yeah.
That's actually good, because you're right, because the recipient side is very, if someone asks me to give again, I'll do it. And I have no hesitation. But what happens is, again, our own minds block us. We get into this fear of looking bad, or they're gonna ask me, or they're gonna run from me, they're gonna hide from me because I'm asking again. And it's your own mind, your own thoughts. It's not real, but you thinking it's real because
it's not real.
Asking again, they're gonna say no. It makes okay if they say no, okay. But if you never ask, that's a guaranteed no. So take a 50-50 shot.
The answer is always no when you don't ask, right?
Correct.
You are the no. You are telling yourself no when you don't ask. Yes.
And then people get offended and say, hey, why do you ask me? Why do you help? How can I help by asking? Then so you actually, not only the answer is guaranteed no, you actually now offending your friends because you didn't give them a chance, like you said earlier, to say yes.
You're not inviting them to the party anymore. They got an invitation last time. Now that you stop them, like you got to keep them coming to the party. Yeah. And you know what? I think with that, we do get caught up in our own thoughts and our own hesitations and things, and we again are doing that person a disservice, because most of the time folks, they want to support, they want to help, especially if they have already, and they just forget. And giving them the okay, that like, hey, you want to support? Yes, cool. No, cool. I just thought I would ask because I know this is something that you contributed to before, and so I wanted to give you a chance to contribute to what we're doing now. What are you
doing now to still drive raising funds and so forth, where we don't have the traditional events where you can gather people? Because typically a lot of events like me, I had events where I can gather people together, and as a result, they can give a reason to donate. We don't have that now. Today we're using this platform here to donate, which I appreciate you guys donating as well by texting HELPLOVEO to 44321. But what's some things you're doing? How?
It's interesting you ask, because just over these past couple of days, we've gotten some confirmations from folks that we're gathering. We're going to have an online kind of mini wellness fun celebration of love retreat, if you will. It's going to have yoga. It's going to have inspirational art, like how to do inspirational art from your home with the materials you have in your home. There's going to be a class on making freshes and feeding your body with nourishing, foods, doing a sugar detox. So we're lining up, and we're going to have live music as well. So it's going to be online, entirely virtual. People will be able to plug into whatever parts, they want to plug into. And so that's in the works right now. That'll be in July, probably early July.
Wow.
So that's one thing that we're doing, because you're right. I mean, a lot of our fundraising comes from the culture camp, right? So us going down to Haiti and fundraising, rallying around the Haiti trip, as well as the live events that we have here, the bowl-a-thons, the galas, the different things that happen, which are not able to happen right now. So we're doing an online event. And then we're going to see how things unfold, maybe continue with some additional online campaigns, or depending on how things move forward over the next few months, maybe do some small scale face-to-face type of interactions. But yeah, I mean, got to do something. Kids got to eat. Kids got to eat. We're about to complete the construction of the new house, which this has been in the making for over 6 years. I'm so excited about. There's going to be overhead, there's going to be expenses that need to be maintained there. So we got to do something. We got to do something to raise money. Yeah. And, you know, folks are hurting right now. Folks are laid off. Folks are, you know, not in different situations that may not be able to give as they normally would give right now. That is not something that I can let myself get consumed with. Right. I can't get consumed with all the reasons why no one's, you know, people aren't going to be able to donate, or we can't do events in person. I have to focus on what we can do, period.
That is so important, because you can totally get into, like you said earlier in the first hour, how folks get overwhelmed by all the things that get done. They feel paralyzed. Same there. We'll get paralyzed about it. Well, I can't. Perceive. I would say at the same time, there's people like that, like us, that are blessed and fortunate, still have, you know, we're working, that want to give.
Exactly.
And we don't know where to give to. And,
exactly.
and like, I'm purposely, like literally, my friend has a restaurant called Focal Wine here in Seattle, you know, Black-owned business.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that. Yes.
Awesome, yeah, awesome. So she pivoted, started selling wine, you know, pick up wine from her shop. Now I could go to Whole Foods, and Whole Foods actually closer to me, right? And buy a bottle of wine, right? But I like the fact what she was thinking. And Columbia Tower did the same thing too. They were serving food and so forth. I love what they were doing. I said, no, I'm gonna pay it like $2 premium, whoopee, right?
Right.
But it was intentional to help that business save vodka. We had this weird assumption in our brain that when this is all over, they're gonna just miraculously be there. But if you don't support, it won't be there, guys.
Gotta show up. Yeah.
Gotta show up. And same these nonprofits that they lose funding, they won't be here tomorrow. So you truly care and truly passionate, connected, you got to lean in, and we all hurt together. And so, okay, I'm not going out to restaurants every week. Take that same money, apply somewhere else.
That's it. What we can do is all we can do, and all we can do is enough. What we can do is, if all we can do, if we do that, that is literally all that's enough. That's enough. We don't have to do more than we can do, right? If we just do what we can actually do and show up where we can actually show up, that is enough. You know, I saw this, some of y'all might have seen it, this picture of this lady down in some southern, like, tiny little village down south somewhere, tiny little town. It must have been a really tiny town. Maybe, you know, who knows, a couple hundred people, something. All the protests going on. She was just by herself. She had a protest of one. She was out there with her sign. And I said, that's what I'm talking about. Because that's all you can do. You live in the middle of nowhere. You got, you know, there might only be like more cows than people in that town, right? Like, who knows? But you wanted to show up, and you showed up. That just touched my heart, because, you know, I feel like that's almost more powerful than the folks who are showing up when everybody else is going.
Say that again.
We got thousands of people in the streets. Let me go be part of the thousands of people. That's also important. But that one lone lady, she had nobody else, and she still showed up.
That was a powerful analogy, real analogy, because the impact that she had on you and everyone like you that saw that was far greater. Her message and her sign was heard and saw. And a lot of times when we come in large crowds and we're copying others, is missed.
Follow Adore by Danny on all the social media, Instagram, social media platforms. She has such a beautiful work. She, again, power of one, the power of showing up and doing what we can do. She has used the power of spreading love. She cuts hearts. I wish I have them upstairs. I wish I brought them in. She cuts hearts, individual hearts, one by one, and writes handwritten messages of love, of inspiration, and hands them out, just wherever she is, to strangers. And I think, what, 10,000, 1,000? I can't remember, Davey. How many hearts have you? Put it in the chat. Showing up and doing what you can do and spreading love, and all these hearts floating around. I mean, with messages of love and inspiration and touching people heart to heart. Like, that's just beautiful. When we show up, when we give ourselves, you know, in the ways that we're called to give. It's just beautiful. So yeah, shout out.
Powerful too.
It's
powerful as heck.
Work.
So much power. So much power.
It was like, I remember she posted, it was a landmark number, maybe 10,000 hearts. Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember how many individual hearts she has given out, every single one handwritten with a message of love, inspiration, wherever she is, to strangers. Right?
Man, the impact you make on that person's life, and the timing, because first of all, nothing happens by accident. So that alignment to sharing that heart with that individual is perfect timing. I really believe in that.
Exactly.
And you never need to know why the impact was and what inspired you to make that connection, but trust and believe me, it was by design and intention. I really truly believe in the interconnections of those events, because folks need love, and we often forget the power of love, including loving ourselves.
It starts. It's an inside job first. Most things are an inside job first. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And we'll say we love ourselves, but we just say this dismissively to move on. But truth be told, let me dissect it. If you're not present to what's happening with you right now, and you're constantly looking at tomorrow where you want to get to, you're not happy with yourself, because you constantly looking at I'm going to do this, that tomorrow. I'm gonna get this goal here. I'm gonna achieve this here. It's okay to have goals. You take action to meet those goals. Not tomorrow, something different, but be present to your gratitude, your successes of where you're at now. Appreciate to where what got you here, and appreciate the action you're taking to get to the next stage. If you continue to do that, you start to love yourself more, and you show up differently to people. And when people say, "Hey, Jesse, you're busy," like, red alert. That means Jesse is not current. Jesse's not present. I'm losing track. That's my way to calibrate myself. If people say I'm busy. Like, wait, define busy. Jesse, that means when I'm engaged with them, my mind somewhere else, they see it, and I'm not reverse my and be back present. So that's how I recheck myself. Like, okay, they say I'm busy.
Yes.
I'm not busy.
Yes.
But I'm busy right now.
People in ours, especially in American culture, wear busy like a badge of honor. I'm busy, as if it's a status symbol. And most of the time, the busyness, especially like what you said, they might be doing this, but their mind is already on to the next thing. So they might be busy, and they're also completely unpresent to what they're doing in any given moment. And we kind of take pride in that as Americans. Like, who can be the busiest and who can get the most done in a day? And the reality is that it's not about being busy. It's about being intentional. I made a pact to myself. Intentionality is everything. You could be busy and getting nothing done, right? Intentionality and
most are.
Right, exactly, right? I remember, this must have been 2 or 3 years ago, I said one of my New Year's resolutions is I'm giving up saying I'm busy. And not to say I never say it, but it was like this paradigm shift of, no, I'm not busy. I'm choosing to do things intentionally, with intention, and I'm gonna be as present as I can when I'm doing those things, and I'm gonna make a lot of space for things, for nothing. I'm gonna make space for things to show up in my life. I'm gonna make space for self-care. I'm gonna make space for the friendships and family that mean a lot to me. I'm gonna make space for that. I am retiring my busy badge and still get stuff done, right? I'm giving up the addiction to busy for the sake of busy, and I'm gonna be intentional with it. And sometimes that might mean that, I work the entire day, and maybe that weekend I'm not doing anything, and I'm not beating myself up. I'm not feeling guilty. I'm not feeling less than because I'm taking a full day. I take every month. I have the first Saturday of every single month. I block it out. Self-care day. And I also do self-care, meditation.
You still do that? That's good.
I still do that. I have a monthly retreat with myself. First Saturday of every month. I have my morning meditation, morning yoga, the things that I do on a daily basis, but I take a day out of every month and have a retreat. And nothing gets scheduled on that day. I'm not looking at the to-do list. I'm not getting any tasks done. I am focusing on me. And I'm doing what brings me joy. And that's it. And it's, oh, it feels so good. So I encourage folks, hang up the busy badge, replace it with intentionality, and build in time for nothing. Nothing is beautiful. Stillness and silence are beautiful.
Dude, man, we talking about mindset is so much locked in. To your point, you can't tell it all. But the busy part comes from childhood, man. Like we go to school, we're racing around, and then when we get in trouble, we get put on timeout.
Right.
Sit with that. I'm guilty. I'm a daddy. I do it with my babies all the time. I'm guilty because my parents are to me. It's a thing. We grow up. We don't be on timeout. We don't time out. What is that time out? You sit and think about it.
That's so true. Right,
think about that.
I'm not taking any time out. Sorry.
Exactly.
No.
In reality, the value is in the timeout. It forced you. Now, I believe the intentions you think you dissected back was, hey, self-reflect on that action you took, and so you know what to do. Now that has value, but I think it's went over time where just time out, go hide in the corner, do nothing. Self-reflection is always great. Reflect, how can you evolve, inhale, and congratulate. Awesome. That's not punishment. That's actually a gift to reflect on that. So that way you can take lessons and learn from that experience and move forward. But we look at time out as a kid as a punishment. So then you evolve as an adult. Take time out. It's a punishment.
Yes, right. I know, it's so true. It's so true. It's like, people, the one of the things that's being said, which is true, that silence is violence, right? That the notion of saying nothing is an act.
Yes.
That silence has a very loud voice, right? So it's the same with our lives. It's like silence is an act. It is doing something. Being intentional about taking time to do nothing is doing something. It's being intentional. It's filling ourselves up. It is an act of self-love. It's actually, when I teach meditation, sometimes I'll start by saying that mindfulness meditation is a revolutionary thing. It's a rebellious thing because you literally sit and do nothing. You are sitting and listening to your own breath and to what's going. Mindfulness practice is you're being with what's there, and a lot of times there's just really nothing there and going on. That's a revolution happening right there because everything in the world around us says that is wrong. That is not what we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be doing nothing. We're not supposed to be not thinking. We're not supposed to be achieving or accomplishing. So to actually do nothing and like relish in that and savor that is a rebellious act.
What some key points you want folks that are still doubted and those who review later to take away? What's 2 or 3 key points you would like to leave this audience?
Find your village. Find the place that calls to your heart, your spirit, where you want to pour love, energy, and attention into. Find it, seek it, listen for it, and show up. It's not what you know. It's what you do with what you know. Period. If you're looking for reasons why you cannot show up, why you can't make a difference, why you can't be of service, you'll find them. Because there's a time, if you ask yourself that question, you will provide yourself with the answers as to why you cannot show up, be of service, make a difference, contribute. You can come up with a bunch of different answers for that. That's not the question to ask. It's, where am I showing up? How can I be of service? And listening. And doing not what you know, not focusing on needing to have it all figured out. Doing something with what you do know. And if all you know is how to show up, start there.
And all I know, everyone better text help love O.
Yes.
To 4
show
4
us some
3
love.
2
Show us
1.
some love.
Donate. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's $1,000. I don't care if it's $100,000. Oh, we take all that. But donate.
We will take anything from $1 to infinite numbers of dollars. Whatever you're giving up, we are gladly receiving it. But in all seriousness, it's about the dollars, but it's not. It's about if you can contribute in any way. People sometimes don't give because they underestimate the power of just giving what you can. If it's $5, give $5.
You're awesome.
Oh my gosh!
Thank you.
So much
Thank
fun.
you so much.
So much fun. Yeah.
Hello, this is Mr. Rose. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to come back every week for new podcast content. Special thanks to my daughter and her team and all their hard work putting this content together. Be engaged. Be aware. Be ready. Be heard. Thank you.